Hello and welcome to our webinar about market trends and potential for the media and entertainment sector in the Nordics and how you grow your business, sponsored by Lumen and organized by Dataxis. Some of you are not familiar with Lumen. Lumen is an enterprise technology platform that enables companies to capitalize on emerging applications and that power the fourth industrial revolution. And Lumen has a strong footprint already in the video and media markets, serving 9 out of the 10 media companies worldwide and 5 out of the 6 largest OTT players. So today we will hear first from Dataxis about what's going on in the Nordic markets and what makes the Nordic market so different. That will be presented by Ophélie Boucaud. She is a senior analyst and research analyst from Dataxis. And then we will have a discussion amongst Lumen and I will moderate this. The discussion from Lumen will be led by Kerry Sandera. He's the CDN evangelist for Lumen, and Santi Cardana, who's the CDN product manager for the EMEA markets or the EMEA region. So I will hand over now to Ophélie, and she will give us some more great market insights on the Nordics.
Hello. So can you see my screen?
Yes.
All right. So here is a little market overview of the Nordics and what's going on the video streaming sector. So first, it's really important to note that the Nordics are one of the most advanced at TV and video market worldwide. So virtually every household in the region are subscribing to a pay TV service, and the audiences locally are used to pay for watching content. With the development of OTT plans in the area, the viewing habits have shifted towards digital and on-demand services. The OTT services average revenue per users are around 15 to 25 euros, which is 10 euros less than traditional pay TV access. So those are attracting more and more customers, which are switching off their traditional cable, satellite, or terrestrial pay TV reception to turn to fully digital services. And alongside their traditional or OTT pay TV subscriptions, the Nordic households also consume a lot of content on SVOD platforms, such as Netflix and HBO, which have been in the region since 2012, but also on the recently launched Disney+, which kicked off really good in the region, and among many local services. So according to a survey from the local analysis company MediaVision, more than 50% of Nordic households were subscribing to at least one SVOD service in the second half of 2020. And the whole digital video market in the Nordics generated an estimated 1.8 billion euros in 2020, which is almost 3 times more than 5 years ago. So the Nordic audiences can access TV content on demand on all streaming devices from a variety of players and generally for much cheaper than traditional pay TV access. So all of those factors are generating more traffic and video consumption online. We can see also that in the region, there is a multitude of strong, well-implemented homegrown players. All main local broadcasters have launched their digital OTT services. So we have TV2 in Denmark, TV2 Sumo in Norway, also the regional actor Nent, which launched Viaplay, and Discovery, which also was very strongly implanted in the region with Dplay, which was rebranded Discovery Plus recently. The pay TV operators are also very well implanted in the digital ecosystem with standalone services, which have been launched, for example, by Telia all across the region, also Riks TV in Norway, Tele2 in Sweden, Elisa in Finland, and TDC UC in Denmark. So this shows that there is a hybridization of models between subscription-based and free platforms or freemium offers, for example, with Rutu and Discovery Plus, which are on those freemium models. And we have a total of 40 platforms operating in the Nordics in 2020, with the recent launch of the Danish operator TDC's UTV platform, and also the arrival of Disney Plus in September and DAZN in December. So the homegrown OTT pay TV players in the Nordics have very complete offers. They usually give access to significant video on demand content libraries, also live news and entertainment programs, which mostly come from TV catch-up, and premium sports events. So broadcasters and traditional pay TV operators have a hand on many carriage deals in the region to build up very advanced and extensive premium sports subscription offers. And those premium packages can be sold for more than 25 euros above the basic plan price on several local OTT platforms. Sports are one of the most profitable value-added content in these markets, and they also attract a lot of subscribers to the platforms. So it's not just a premium offer, it's really a must-have for all the local OTT. And we've seen the significant weight of sports content in the local Nordic video market reflected by the COVID-19's impact on the TV industry. So the Nordic pay TV markets experienced an estimated 8.6% drop in subscription revenues between 2019 and 2020, which is a decrease 4 times more important than the year before. And most pay TV operators had to cut their subscription prices to reflect the sudden lack of content, especially for premium sports. That and the aftermath of the worldwide crisis on advertising revenues led to a fall of the average pay TV revenue per user in the region from 24.10 euros to 21.5 between 2019 and 2020. So on top of being characterized by an overconsumption of video content, the Nordic market is also very advanced technologically. And we have 4K set-top boxes which have been deployed by pay TV operators in the area since 2016. They are estimated, it is estimated that they will equip more than half of the local pay TV households by 2025. So with viewing habits turning towards high quality video, OTT platforms need to have strong technical capabilities for content delivery. And now I'm gonna hand over to our moderator, Annette, who will start the panel discussion with our speakers today.
Thank you very much, Ophelia. That was very interesting. Yeah, before we kick off the discussion, I would like to give the audience a little bit more insight. What is Lumen all about and where you're coming from? I think not everybody in the audience probably know the brand name or knows the company quite well. So Carrie or Santi, would you talk a little about the history of the company and what are you specifically resolving for the media and entertainment industry?
Sure. Yeah. So Lumen's history is actually very interesting. So although the Lumen brand itself is fairly new, the company that we are now, and so the services that we provide are results of years of evolution, right? So before Lumen rebranded, we were known as CenturyLink, and over its history, CenturyLink acquired a number of assets, which resulted in us owning and operating one of the largest and most connected internet networks in the world. And so that's where our roots are in the telecoms space. And the company has then been providing enterprise services over that, as well as wholesale services. But as the world has been developing and we've been observing a rapid change and significant shift in technology, which is sort of mainly brought about by the rise of smart connected devices, there's kind of an insane amount of data out there that we all produce. And so we've noticed that customers must be driven by that data. So they need to be able to excel at acquiring the data, analyzing the data, and then being able to act on that. So with that in mind, we've sort of shifting or focusing our services to have a platform that kind of focuses on 4 main things, right? So the first one is adaptive networking, which is the traditional connectivity services. And then one which is key to the media and entertainment sector, which is our edge and cloud pillar, which is where CDN and edge application services sit. And then on top of that, we've got another 2 pillars, which are connected security and also collaboration. So these sort of come together to try and deliver a fast and secure platform for next generation applications and data.
Thank you. What we just learned from Ophelia is that we have in the Nordics a very, say, different market than other regions in Europe where we have seen high willingness to pay, high ARPU, even for not traditional, so even for OTT services, very crowded marketplace. How do you addressing these challenges, particularly for these markets where, I mean, you have good revenue streams for pay TV OTT operators, but on the other hand, you have a strong competition, and you have also an audience, I think, that is quite, spoiled by having a plethora of services at disposal. I think Netflix was one of the first US companies that launched in the Nordics as well, and have a strong footprint there. So what are you particularly resolving for this market, or helping these operators to succeed in these markets?
Yeah, so our presence in the Nordics sort of spread across both the homegrown players that we were talking about, but also we're a global CDN provider, so we do have some of those large be-ended type streamers that we also talked about for video on demand and live services. So we see both sides of that, and we know that it's a very competitive market. When we look at the Nordics, actually, and the data that we have, the Nordics outperform the traffic we deliver per user. So if you look at the population of countries and we look at the traffic that we deliver, the traffic per user that we deliver is much higher in the Nordics than we see in the rest of EMEA. So we definitely see those trends that you talked about there. With that, as you say, comes a lot of competition. And specifically, if you come from the B-end customers that have got big budgets, big teams to throw at the customer experience and the interfaces, etc. Luckily, though, improved performance and giving a good end customer experience isn't just about throwing money at it, right? It's about being smart and how you deliver the CDN, right? And so, one of the first things that, is pretty much standard practice now and commonplace is making sure that you have a multi-CDN solution. And that's something that we help out with along with other suppliers. That gives you redundancy, gives you protection, gives you better improved commercials, gives you the ability to route traffic through the best performing CDN, better user experience is going to make you differentiate yourself from everybody else. But with that, you need a very flexible load balancer, which is also something that we provide. So one of the ways you can differentiate yourself is having a balancer that allows you to not only choose the best CDN at the start of a stream, but also do a mid-stream switch, right? To make sure there's constant quality throughout the stream and you're constantly using the best CDN out there. So that's one of the things from a multi-CDN perspective. And then the other piece is, as you talked about, there's a lot of volume and a lot of high quality video content out there. High quality content is fairly easy to plan and manage and build for if it's constant. The issue though is if there are peaks, right? And so it's a little bit harder to plan for and get around. So we talked about that multi-CDN might help some of that, but it doesn't get around some of the other challenges. So partnering with your CDN is very important, right? We partner with our customers to make sure that we try and forecast as much as possible the peaks that we can, but peaks aren't always predictable. So what we're seeing specifically on a market which has got so much competition and so much traffic going through it, is that customers need to get creative about how they serve those peak and unpredictable events, right? So how do you eliminate those pinch points? Often sort of the peaks are usually people trying to access the same amount of content at once. So one of the solutions that we offer around this is creating a mesh delivery network within our CDN. And that allows kind of the end user to source its content, not only from the CDN directly, but from other peers. And so that's actually a really smart way of doing it, because as the peaks get higher, the mesh network gets bigger, which makes it a much better performing network. And that's going to differentiate you again in a very highly competitive market if you're able to really provide a good experience even at high peak events that are very popular. So those are, I guess, are some of the things that we see our customers doing to try and differentiate themselves in a market that's had such early adoption of these services. Carrie, I don't know if there's anything else that you've seen from the field.
Well, the biggest dynamic that's happened over the last few months due to the COVID situation has been actual explosion of other services that impact CDN performance. So what's vitally important is that there be enough capacity out there in order to provide not only the broadcast, the live broadcast, the VOD broadcast, but now we're seeing an explosion of other services such as health services, banking services, which are taking a large amount of capacity constraints. Gaming is exploding, particularly esports, where you're seeing online gaming with the updates that are continuously coming in. So in the Nordics, we're seeing an explosion of capacity that we really need to build out for. And as Santi just mentioned, one of the value adds that Lumen has is the mesh delivery solution, where that actually handles spikes and peaks and broadens it out so that there are no quality issues in the delivery.
I think quality is still, especially for, I mean, now more industries, more enterprise verticals using the CDN. So for the media and entertainment, there's always quality is key, right? So I think what you just said, how you support these customers in orchestrating these CDNs. We have also seen a lot of homegrown CDN solutions in the beginning, and now I think they need to scale their businesses and they need to orchestrate these different traffics that comes into the networks and really make sure that, especially in the video and entertainment space, that people have a high quality of service. How are you supporting your operators in that? Particularly, I think mesh is one of the solutions that you're offering, but is there other things that you could help the operators to make sure that video and TV get delivered to all devices and in a good quality of service?
We work very closely with all of our customers over here. So we try to have any updates and notices on, let's say, any events that are coming up, because during COVID in particular, there's a lot of special events going on out there, concerts, gaming events, sporting events that draw huge crowds, which bring in the traffic spikes that we were discussing earlier. So it's a lot of cooperation with our customers in order to help them deliver the best quality, and working very closely with them, we find that we can actually deliver the quality that they want at all times. So this is quite important for us to have a very deep relationship with our customers.
And I think that's a good point. I think through COVID and these spikes that you just mentioned, I think now the relationship and the way you engage with customers as a technology provider is maybe different than 12 months or 2 years ago. I think because of these unpredictable, somehow but predictable through analytics, but in general, these unpredictable events that you just mentioned, that you have these live events, and then you have e-gaming or esports that comes into the mix. So you have to find another way to how you engage with customers. And I think it's not only for the traffic, but also I think it's all the applications. And when we think about the different interfaces that you provide or that you have to deliver as a service provider or a media company to different devices. So I think you have to find other sort of ways of working and how you engage with your customers. Can you talk a little bit about that? How you engage with your customers in particular in resolving these sort of issues? I mean, not only the traffic, but also the applications and all the things that they need for them to deliver their services.
Yeah, so I think, just to summarize on that piece there, I think it's important that, you know, as Kari mentioned, so having the right capacity in the right areas is really important for the quality, and that's stuff that we can plan for. So when we know, having a good conversation with our customers about what their growth plans are and where they see their traffic going is really important for us to be able to build alongside that and make sure we have the right capacity in the right locations. But again, and then the other things we mentioned is around how do we then allow the customers to have solutions that can react very quickly to unpredictable events that we just talked about. So that's kind of mainly how we sort of prepare with customers to make sure we help them deliver the best quality when it comes to delivery. in general. The other thing you mentioned there is around application delivery, and so the way that applications have been delivered is changing, and so the edge is no longer just for content, right? It's also for application delivery. And if you think about it, traditionally, or what we've moved to recently, which is the cloud environment. So the agility of cloud is good, but it isn't enough for what applications are demanding at the moment. So yes, cloud does give us centralization, gives us economy of scale, it gives you self-service and automation, and it gets us most of the way there, but it sort of can't overcome the physics of it, right? So the weight and the heaviness of the data, and also the speed of light. So having it all sit centralized does have its limitations because of those things. So I guess in order to provide the next generation of customer experience, more and more we see our customers wanting to move to the edge. So because businesses need to be data driven, as part of things I mentioned around the big movement towards data, as I said, they need to be able to gather that data, they need to be able to analyze it and act on it very quickly. And that's why engineers need that speed, that scalability, that security. So we're working currently with a lot of our customers to move the workloads or the computing of this application to the edge, which helps them kind of reduce the latency. It provides sort of cost-effective access to good quality compute resources. And then, a good example of sort of where this is key is sort of modern web applications, media and gaming applications that are being developed, and things in the future like autonomous vehicles, that sort of thing. So that's how we engage with customers in terms of moving the conversation away just from the data, but also what are the applications that sit around that to provide an overall good end customer experience in that space.
I'm sorry. If I could just add, one of the things that is also a consequence of this new environment that we're in is the constraint upon storage. And this is something that's impacting all of our customers, and the need for expanded and probably most important cost-effective storage solutions. And that's where Lumen is just now coming out with a new object storage solution, which is extremely cost-effective and provides our customers with a much more robust storage solution. So this is something that we've brought out because we listened to our customers' needs. This was something at the forefront, and now given the environment that we're working in, we find that this is a key product to have in our portfolio.
Yeah, I think is one of the big changes that we have seen, that not keeping everything on-prem, so moving it to the edge, keeping everything under control. So I think it's also that what I asked you before is about the engagement model. So you're taking much more responsibility for the customers. You've been very much closer to their business in foreseeing what can happen and helping them being prepared for these peaks or whatever. Yeah.
It's important to be a partner with your customer. That's the ultimate key there. We need to be a partner in each other's success. Right. So I think our customers in the Nordics feel that, because we are constantly engaged with them. So hopefully that way we can bring quite a lot of value to their end customers.
Yeah. I think the Nordics is such a good for the European markets. I mean, it's a benchmark what can happen, and they're always very advanced. So I think your customers not only in the Nordics benefit, but also the others probably they can learn from how to foresee and forecast these different behaviors. But sorry, I don't want to interrupt you. You want to say something?
I was going to say, one of the ways that we try and partner with our customers now is to look at their needs and try and provide a solution through our platform, rather than it being too product focused. We look at it more as an in-house solution end to end, right? So that's where the pillars I mentioned around security, collaboration, the edge, connectivity, they can all sit together to provide a solution to whatever their challenges are. And more as we see the edges blurring, excuse the pun, across these products, it becomes more and more of a single solution that needs to be thought end to end to make sure that the end customer experience is thought at the forefront, rather than specific segments of it.
Is there anything key learnings that you learned from the last recent months where you're saying this is something we haven't expected, or this is something that we did that is outstanding, or it's unusual, or that's a good benchmark for the industry they could learn from? So where you're saying this is something that is really as something we anticipated, and that's how we prepared for it. So it's like a best practice.
I think the explosion in gaming has been something that's caught many people off guard, and by that I mean the explosion of the downloads and how much capacity and data that consumes. Nobody was really ready for it, and early on we saw that it was a problem because it constrained the network. Of course, we had to react to that with our customers, and we feel that we've provided a robust solution for that, where all of these gaming downloads and patches and so on that come at our way at random times, those some are planned, some are not. So we really have to work together in order to be able to provide the solution for that.
Yeah, and actually interested on that point as well. One of the things that we're developing as part of our roadmap is to extend the capability of our mesh network, not only to the video delivery part of content delivery, but actually to software downloads as well. So one of the things that we're really excited about that is trialing that with our customers. One of the things that we learn is that it isn't just video that requires large peaks, as Carrie was saying, things like software patch downloads. If we're able to limit the impact that has in the internet overall, there's going to be a large number of companies that are going to be very happy with that. Not least, obviously, the people who are actually supplying those software downloads. So yeah, that's been a really interesting one to watch, and we're very glad that we have that in our pipeline as something that's coming.
Yeah, they're estimating that this year 82% of the traffic will be video and TV, but I think you have about point here. I think that gaming, especially downloading and but also these multiplayer games are also consuming a lot of capacity in the networks, and usually I think that video and TV and the media providers don't have that really on their roadmap, or not really on their radar when they think about it, because they're always giving the video and media so much room, right, in their planning and everything. Yeah, so can you talk a little bit of innovation? What your to just mention your roadmap, things that you are currently planning or developing that could be of interest for the industry, or that especially addresses those needs, or these different environments, or these different requirements, so to speak?
Sure. Yeah, so there's a number of things, and I've mentioned a couple already about some of the things that we have in place now, and we see an adoption in the market are how people get smarter with their CDN and make best use of the capacity that's out there. So we talked about mesh, we talked about orchestrator. Another shift into a slightly different subject on the roadmap, though, one of the things that we've noticed the demand for, and this is for very specific use cases, which is low latency, right? So when we think about the use case where this is useful for, things like live sporting events, of which you mentioned at the start, sporting is a large aspect of the content that's been delivered in the Nordics. So the reason that that's important is that the viewers are becoming more increasingly demanding when it comes to latency for things like this in live streaming. If you think about it, they expect it to be at the same speed as traditional or even analog type solutions, right? And you add to that the fact that social media exists that might ruin a football score before you're able to actually watch it. So all of those things together make a huge drive and demand for being able to have a low latency when it comes to live sporting events. So one of the challenges that the customers have is how do they do that without hindering any of the other performance metrics. So you have to balance the high quality live streaming experience with the minimal latency. And so some of the protocols that you do to improve the latency is around reducing the segment sizes, or the duration of each segment. That improves the latency, but it can, if not done properly, cause rebuffer. And so the player is having to store less video within it, and processing more files. So it's more prone to potentially have rebuffering issues if not looked at properly. So that's something that we have to work with customers very closely to understand on what are the best use cases to use that for. And we're developing some solutions this year in order to provide that to customers. The only thing to look at, this isn't necessarily something that we as CDN providers provide, but it's good for people to think about when looking at low latency, is that there are other parts of the video path that could cause latency. So things like the ingest and the formatting and processing could cause latency. So when looking at trying to improve latency, we should look at the entire flow of the video, right? But from a CDN perspective, yeah, we've got a couple of things in the pipeline to kind of provide that to our customers who are demanding it. Those are the kind of the two main items. And the other one, which again we mentioned about the edge, which is not exclusively for content delivery. So as I said, there's next gen applications that are requiring low latency and being sensitive. So we've seen a huge demand for that. The solution that we provide is a very flexible one, which means that customers are able to pick and choose what applications they run at the edge. So the use cases are almost in a way kind of endless, but that's a good thing, right? We want to not be prescriptive about what customers do with their applications. So that's something that we have already live at the moment, but we continue to improve and add on. The one thing to look out for, I think, when it comes to CDN, and one of the things that we mentioned about it becoming more of a solution rather than a specific product, is that CDN providers need to be, buying new technologies, acquiring, merging with other companies, forming alliances, which is the stuff that we're doing in our pipeline. Because we are more and more being asked to deliver bundled services rather than just your traditional CDN delivery. And that's one of the things you probably see more from Lumen, is that we partner with more people or acquire different technologies in order to make sure that we give add-on services over the top of just your traditional service delivery.
But more role of orchestrating these applications, right? It's you get another role for what you're providing. It's not only the CDN service, but it's really orchestrating the entire end-to-end delivery or the different applications that come with it. Sorry, Karen.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Sorry, Karen.
No problem. One of the things that's also come out as a result, and I'm sure everybody's well aware of the explosion of security breaches that have been happening, and all the operators, all the producers, all the enterprises are looking for robust security solutions, and I think that Lumen has addressed that with the CDN Edge Compute system, where we provide modular containers in which to, let's say, provide a WAF solution or bot mitigation. This is something that we work very closely with our operators to understand their needs, and then we can actually help them build the solution within these modules, which is probably at the very least a very cost-effective way to provide the most robust security platform that they can get. So we've had a lot of interest in the CDN Edge Compute system, which we have rolled out and which we're currently rolling out throughout Europe. So this is something that in regards to the roadmap, we're very excited by in regards to rolling this out and making it more visible to our customers, because it will provide a solution for one of the #1 concerns within our customers, and that's security.
Security in the sense that piracy, or is it breach of profiles? So my experience is usually what I had in the media entertainment is mostly about security breaches and random sharing of profiles or sharing from access. But what particularly you mean with security? Is it the whole? Is it about the content security, or is it more the user? Or
yeah, you can imagine the amount of user information that's going across these platforms.
Okay.
So anything from credit card information, personalized information, viewing habits, whatever, anything that has to do with personal information and company and enterprise information. That's key amongst these solutions.
Okay, thanks. What else do you see? So as one of the challenges, I mean, the security, I think that was a good point. Besides that, I mean, the amount of traffic, the amount of devices, security was one issue. What else do you see? One of the key challenges that you probably address with this new solutions for the industry right now?
I don't know, Santi. For me, I think in the Nordics, it's the explosion of video on mobile devices. So the majority of video is going across mobile devices, and these devices are many, and we have to be able to support all of those devices. So having applications that will support all those devices, be it security applications, multi CDN orchestrator, any application that we have has to be able to support not only the mobile devices, but the smart TVs, connected TVs, and so on. So that's a challenge, and this is something that we work very closely again with our customers in order to be able to deliver those on all of those devices.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Carrie, actually. So this is a challenge that both we and our customers have, which is when you have the number of devices out there, it makes it quite difficult to deploy software updates or new products, etc. around it. So from a broadcaster or OTT perspective, when you're making updates to your player, for example, when you're deploying that, you need to think about the number of devices, the operating systems, the versions of those devices, and the versions of the operating systems, what browsers those people are using. And actually, from our perspective as well, there's a number of different types of players that we need to take into consideration when deploying that. So the key thing for that is testing, right? And testing these before they get rolled out, and testing your updates across all of those different types of combinations could prove very time-consuming, costly, and as you could be missing stuff out, so not being very comprehensive. So we've seen this, and one of the things that the team that we acquired through our StreamRoots acquisition was very good at is they created their own cross-platform testing suite, right? And what they have some really good tips around how you can do that. So some of the things are, it needs to be able to automatically generate all these different scenarios that you're testing for. It needs to also be resilient enough, the test needs to be resilient enough that you give some room for movement. What I mean by that is, you're never going to deploy a code and it's going to tell you yes or no. It's never going to be black and white. It's going to say, for X number of users, the performance doesn't change. For a small percentage of users, you might have an issue. And so what you have to understand or build into this testing environment is what are the metrics or the thresholds, the acceptable thresholds that you have for these testers, in order to check what kind of passes versus not. And once you deploy that, you need to have a testing suite that's able to be reactive as well. So once you deploy, doesn't mean you're done, right? Because there are other people that might update the iOS or something else that might not be compatible with your player. So you need to be able to react to that. There is actually a really interesting talk that one of my colleagues did from product around the specific subject on the suite that he brought. So if anyone that's watching this webinar is actually really interested in this, I know it's resonated a lot with when we've given this talk out to customers. So feel free to kind of reach out to me on LinkedIn, and I will send you a link to that specific talk, because I know that this is something that is a big pain point for the engineers who are trying to deploy these planes.
Yeah, it's a pain point. Also, the time, it's time consuming. And when you have a demand from a customer, they want to have it on any device, in any application, any operating system, as you just described. Then you have to get to approval by the device manufacturer, and that delays things quite often in the launch of new services. It's not about the service is ready, but you don't have the approvals, right? And the other aspect of that is not only the time, it's also the investment. So the constant testing and constantly preparing the service that you're providing for every application, for every device, for every changing iOS or OS, the operating system, is a challenge, a big challenge for the operators, and often underestimated from investment or from an OpEx perspective.
Yeah, that's right. And if you think about it, when we brought StreamRoots, the sort of their bread and butter was the two main products we talked about, which is the orchestrator and the mesh, which are reliant on making sure that we are compatible with devices that we test, right, etc. So that was a huge part of them. So that's why they spend so much more of their time building this network suite, this testing suite. So that's one of the value adds that actually we see when we speak to customers around these engagements, that we're able to share with them best practice, and a lot of the time they sort of take that on board. Yeah, I think that's what the industry is heading to. They're having these kind of develop once and deploy many, in the sense that you don't have to judge over for everybody again, even if you have different customers in different markets. So you can do it once and you have the approval, and then you can launch it, right? Otherwise, I think you're not being able to cope with the amount of devices, and that will constantly changes, right? And on the other hand, you have all these issues in the networks that you have to take care of. So I think for the operators, getting more, I always say it's not complicated, it gets more complex, and it's getting more and more. We're almost at the end of the session, but I would really get some closing statements from both of you, what you would like to add, or what is your current thinking, or something that would be maybe of interest to the audience to close and wrap it up. That would be great. Yeah, I guess from my perspective, I'd say, over the last year or so, we haven't seen any trends that particularly surprised us, but we have definitely seen an acceleration to where we thought we were going. And so this huge drive for increased content over the internet, for Edge to deliver not only content and not only applications, are all things that people should be thinking on top of mind a lot quicker than they were probably thinking before, because we're not going to go backwards now, right? It's accelerated, and we're going to get closer to the edge. So, really encourage people to kind of take a more holistic view of the way that they view CDN, and the way that they view application and content delivery than the traditionally used to.
Yeah, for me, I'm just excited by the explosion of new ways of thinking of in terms of CDN use. Probably one that we haven't mentioned, and that's for enterprise CDN, and that's because most enterprises now have discovered that they need a robust internal communication system. Why? Because they need more security for their communications. They need more ways to connect with their employees. Many reasons. This is something that is going to not only get stronger, but it's going to require a more robust and cost-effective way to deliver this. And this is another thing that we perhaps haven't touched upon enough. And one of the drivers for content delivery is cost, and we need to keep those costs down. And this is something that we've worked very hard on, to build the systems and deliver the systems that are going to provide the most qualitative and robust platform at a very cost-effective way. And so this is something that's very important for our customers. And I see that the new explosion of services in the health community, in the banking sector, in the enterprise sector, I think is just going to drive more and more innovation. And that's something that makes me very, very excited.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you, Santi. Thank you, Carrie, for this very interesting discussion about, especially the demand or the challenges in the Nordics for media and entertainment, but also sharing all the insight about the other emerging and enterprises, as you just, Carrie just mentioned, like banking and healthcare. And sometimes I think we think about too much about our industry, but others, they're also using CDNs, and consuming a lot of traffic and will probably develop many more applications. Yeah, thank you, Lumen, for this very interesting discussion, and Dataxis for hosting it. Yeah, I hope the audience also have enjoyed what we have discussed, and if you have any questions, I would suggest that you reach out to Dataxis or to Santiago Carey from Lumen directly.
Thanks for having us.